Instead of answering Harmony, Han asked the group, "Have any of you been training in the rooms?" Harmony was a little confused by Han's question. Instead of the expected answer to hers, she took a moment to think about it. "We've been able to get to the 10th level, but the monsters have been getting too strong for us to fight." "Yeah. For some reason at the 10th level, the difficulty jumped. We can barely spend an hour at the level before we're either pushed back or killed," Grace added in. Her expression indicated that she felt like there was a reason why Han was asking such a question. Hearing their answers, Han tried not to show disappointment on his face. Them reaching the 10th level explained why they were able to fight the modified humans they initially encountered. The problem was that they wouldn't see many of the benefits that would likely allow them to withstand the hybrids they met. "I get the feeling that the hybrids that played with us are comparable to monsters past the 50th level," Jennifer said with a voice full of frustration. Listening to Jennifer's words, the mood went down noticeably. "It feels like a wall we'll never be able to overcome," Ivy said in an equally frustrated tone. It was at that moment that his mom stood up. "Are we just going to be depressed and not try to do anything?" "Jessica," Grace said, surprised by his mother's outburst. "What can we do?" Ruby asked. His mother was about to respond but stopped. She seemed to be considering what to say next. Everyone in the group looked at his mother, hoping that she came up with a plan to get them out of their negative mood. After taking some time, she continued, "In the forest, we were able to fight off the creatures. Aside from Grace, none of us had the ability to do what we did. I know that Jennifer had a team sports in high school, and both Ivy and Ruby were in cheerleading. Han was even in football during middle school. But for me, I was just a housewife who mainly took care of the daily chores, making sure the house was clean, food was ready for everyone, and occasionally watching my favorite daytime shows." "Mom." Jennifer's voice cracked with emotion, hearing everything their mother did to make sure they had a comfortable life. This was even more evident with having an abusive husband. Hearing the emotion in Jennifer's voice, their mother placed a hand on Jennifer's head and gently stroked her hair. "Don't worry, Jennifer. I wasn't saying such things because I'm sad, but instead to show how far we've come." Looking at the others, she continued, "Now, we've reached a point where we can eliminate threats that even those who previously had training had trouble dealing with. It may be hard, but we should try and overcome this wall." As people were walking about and enjoying the simulated outdoor environment, the joy failed to lift the dark cloud hovering over Han's group. Grace looked at Harmony as if to ask what she thought about Jessica's words. Judging by Harmony's face, there were conflicting emotions. "I think we'll need to get deeper into that place. From what we experienced, I think to make it even the 100th level only gets us to the starting line in this new world," Han said in a somber tone. He looked around at all of them, trying to see what they were thinking and feeling about such shattering news. While others were playing on the grass or eating enjoyable food, each one of them would experience a hell that none had seen before. Even those that were playing in the tournaments wouldn't have to go through such tribulations. Instead, they'd be able to bask in the glory as their games are broadcasted throughout the surviving hubs of humanity. Ruby and Ivy held one another's hands as they thought about what was going to happen. Han could see that they were trying to think of the worst case scenario, but unfortunately, it wouldn't even come close. "We want to train. Even if we get to the 100th floor, we'll still keep on going." It doesn't matter how often we die, Ruby said, but faltered near the end. Ivy leaned against a friend, placing her head on Ruby's shoulder. With Ruby's conviction, Grace looked at Han. When do we start? Han leaned against the wall, next to the door of the training room where he said they'd meet. Crossing his arms, he closed his eyes and thought about how the training was going to proceed. Should I do anything that'll aid them? Do I help them get stronger, faster than they naturally would? Han said out loud to himself. Thinking of the past, he remembered the times where he thought about making things easier for people, but stopped. It felt like such a long time ago since that first world, where he created everyone and met those that would join him. Several people came to mind, thinking about how they had abandoned their original race to join him. But instead of focusing on them getting stronger, Han had wanted to allow them to stay with him and the others. Looking up at the ceiling, he wondered how they were doing and if their jobs were going well. A part of him wanted to hear them again. But if I call them, I'm sure they'd say I was just slacking and trying to avoid working, though Doi and Noe would try and come over to where I was. Han chuckled to himself, picturing the others trying to convince Doi and Noe that they shouldn't go to him. Thinking of those two hybrids, Han was surprised by how they represented the direction this world was heading towards. When he first selected this world, he figured it would be similar to those post-apocalyptic games he enjoyed playing during college. But now, the situation was quickly transforming into something else. This was why Han was having difficulty thinking about how he should proceed. Those he cared about were slowly getting stronger, but wasn't at the rate needed to survive in this world. A part of him thought about taking a peek at what those modified humans were up to, but Han felt like if he were to do that, then his hand would be forced. The main concern was how they'd react to having an increase in strength without putting in the effort or training. All of the ones he had altered already had developed skills in fighting, so the increase in power didn't change who they were. Though Noe and Doi were different due to the attack back when they were demons. Footsteps alerted him, and turning his head, he saw that it was Jennifer, his mom, and the others. His eyes widened as he noticed that there were more than just his group, as he noticed Jackie and her group. Near the back, he also saw Jimin and two others following everyone. Didn't know we were having a party, Han casually said through the open comm. Jackie raised both of her hands and shrugged her shoulders. I overheard that you guys were tackling the dungeon, with the aim of being able to fight those hybrids. My group and I thought it was a good idea and thought we'd join. I invited them thinking it wouldn't be an issue, Jennifer explained. We need as many people as possible who are able to fight those things. Han nodded his head in agreement. He didn't mind that more people were interested in joining their training regimen, agreeing that more people were needed. It would act as a proof of concept if they encountered those beings and beat them. As a senior, I thought I would join and observe your training method and offer pointers. Jimin threw in her thoughts when she noticed Han looking at her. My teammates and I have plenty of experience, which would be valuable for those who have barely touched the surface when being in combat scenarios. Indicating with her thumb, Jackie said, She's a real cheerful one, but I think she and the other two will loosen up after interacting with us. She laughed at her words, making the others in her group chuckle. His mother placed a hand on her helmet, giving off her I don't know what to do with this children vibe. Knowing what Jimin had gone through, Han shook his head understandingly, not wanting to comment on her words. It wouldn't hurt to have the extra help, so there was no need to make a big deal about it. Since we're all suited up and ready, let's head into the simulation. With us bringing our own weapons for training purposes, I've already made the adjustments for the system to register our equipment. As Jackie had mentioned, we'll be training with the aim of defeating the powerful creatures we've encountered, Han said. In a low voice, all of you need to be prepared for the nightmare we're about to enter. Ivy and Ruby made a nervous chuckle, while everyone else looked like they were getting themselves mentally prepared. Nodding at knowing they were serious about the training, Han turned to face the door and pressed the screen to make it open. As everyone entered, no one had noticed the difficulty setting for the dungeon. It was set to a level higher than anyone had experienced inside of the facility.